We've helped hundreds of clients build better construction companies.
We love this business, we love the people, and we've seen what running a successful, profitable business takes.
And we're sharing it all with you here on Construction Hot Takes.
Welcome to the Hot Takes podcast. Today, we're talking about construction tech, but more specifically, construction technology, the pros, the cons, the challenges to choosing and implementing in your business. We kind of get into what I'd say maybe a controversial topic is maybe software is not all it's cracked up to be. Okay, so Greg, construction technology. We get a lot of calls about this. It could be an ERP, it could be project management software, it could be a combination of both. So today, let's just kind of go through what the pros and cons of construction software is in general.
I think there's an interesting take in construction. I'd be curious to see if you feel this way, but I think you do. Construction is a very, not stagnant. What's the right word?
Oh, I know this.
Quick to take on new technology.
Actually, I disagree with that entirely.
Oh, okay.
No, I think we're a very stagnant industry because we're a bunch of engineering-minded people, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay, so that's what it is, right? But over the years, especially the last 10 years, I'd say,
right?
I've seen a big change in construction technology.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Whether it's a younger person's game now, or whether some of the older generations are leaving, they're retiring. But there's very definitely a change in the mindset now that I didn't see when I started 20-something years ago.
No, yeah.
It was, and I think you're right. I think it was, if it's not fixed, if it's not broken, don't fix it or change it. But now there's a whole world of let's make our lives easier and better with technology.
And so in my career, I got into this business in the late 80s. And when I got out of school in the early 90s, it was a really big deal. They were putting computers in job sites for the superintendents to use.
Oh.
These aren't laptops. These are towers, right?
Yeah.
And they were really excited. We're going to get our superintendents to use computers. They didn't know for what, but it was a big deal. That was the big trend. There's so much money coming in the industry now. I'm a little bit surprised, just given our generation of kind of bridging that gap between analog and tech, that our generation, maybe it's surprising or not surprising that we've kind of moved that along a bit of really pushing the tech into the business. Maybe
it's definitely ingrained in the business. I think it's a question of who's using it and how are you using it. That's a different issue.
Well, there's definitely a massive difference from just a generational standpoint of the expectations of new people in the industry coming out of college, maybe, or even not, just have an expectation that there is some digital solution.
Yeah.
Whereas our generation that are, we're toward the ends of our careers at this point. I hate to say that out loud, but we're approaching it anyway.
Speak the truth if you have to.
You go back to what you know. And so it's like we don't even know what we don't know. We really want to get things out of, really squeeze the tech and get the most out of it, but we're not really 100% sure what it could do yet.
I think you said something really interesting, and this comes up almost every call I take about any kind of construction technology. Kids, we're going to call them kids because we're older. Kids who are coming out of college are learning construction technology in college.
Yes.
They're learning on Procore.
They come out Procore certified.
I know for a fact that certain construction management schools around the country teach Procore.
Yes, they do.
And there's this whole concept of I'm going to come out into the world and I want to use Procore on day one because I'm good at it now. I like it. I understand it. It's going to make my life easier. That's certainly a change.
But big time.
Embracing technology before you get to a company is you sort of took what was there when you got there.
Right.
Now people are coming saying like, please give me technology. That's interesting to me.
Well, I've had a couple of clients and I get calls about this all the time. What software solution, what tech, because let me step back. There's tech and then there's software. So like, I think tech could be like, it could be using a total station, which is not new technology. I get it, but it could be using that.
Cameras and hard hats.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of a new,
right. That's tech where there's software. So, they're not really sure what software should I use. Would it help me? What are the benefits? What are the, they think they kind of know what they might be able to get out of it. But the biggest fear is not it's kind of this fear of I think it can help me, but it's an easy button. So I really don't know how to make it really work for me, but I hear it's going to be great.
I think it's a really interesting take on construction technology. I don't know how you feel, but I don't think an easy button, there's no easy button in construction tech. And I'm trying to think if there is in anything. Is there ever an easy button in software?
No.
No. Online banking is pretty straightforward, right? Or, but no, it's very much A plus B equals C. And then you have to add in 6 other steps to get that one thing you need out of is like a reporting, right? Like a report.
I think when I have calls with clients or potential clients about this, that the conversation is, what's the ROI? Like I think this can help. And they talk about it like it's maybe the easy button. But then the first couple of questions I ask is, well, what are you replacing, or what isn't working now that you think this is going to fix? Or have you thought about what it's going to take to really implement this into your business? I mean, that's the non-easy button part of it.
So here's an easy button-ish type thing. If you've been using Excel for your financial statements, which is very traditional back kind of when we started, right? You built everything in Excel, and you might have had an accounting system, but it didn't have anything kind of canned reporting. It was inside the reporting. And then all of a sudden you could press a button and get your balance sheet, or you could get a job cost report, or you could get an income statement, right? Now that's an easy button, if you will.
Okay.
But we're kind of talking about more extreme levels of what construction software can do. Things like in the field, like what's an example of something that something like Procore can do that you can't do with an Excel spreadsheet?
I can't do my daily logs.
Yeah,
I can't. Exactly. I can't put a geofence around my project.
Yep.
I can't track my time. Well, I guess you could maybe track your time, but those are 2 big ones. I can't put a geofence with a spreadsheet for sure.
Crafting a very specific type of budget view in Procore is very, very specific. That's something that each member of the team can use individually. Those things are very important to people, I think.
So let's break this down. What do you think are like the pros and cons? So it doesn't matter what software it is. It doesn't matter if it's Procore or if it's
Red Team,
sure,
CoConstruct.
Right. Yeah. Builder-Trend. Sure.
Yeah.
What would be, it's like, what's the pros and cons to putting anything like that into your business?
I think the thing that I hear the most is cost.
Yeah.
Software in general is expensive. I mean, there's no question about it. If you're a certain type of company, size or revenue, cost could be prohibitive. If you're a large, $300 million GC, you can get around that. But I think the cost is one of the first things people have to look at, because technically spreadsheets are free.
Sure.
If you will.
Right. Yeah.
Technically, brain power is free. And technically, you could hire someone to sit in the office and crunch numbers for you all day. So you don't need, you don't have to have that software.
Yeah.
That I think is the thing that we hear a lot. How much is it going to cost? And how much did I budget it? Do I need it? And like you said, what's the ROI on spending that much money?
Yeah, I think I've got one that's kind of a pro and a con. So a pro would be the collaborative nature of software today. So I'm able to enter some information in the field. I'm however many miles away from the home office, out in the middle of the field, building something. I can enter data, whatever that happens to be, and literally instantly that data is available to the home office. Project manager, maybe it's somebody else, whatever.
Real-time data, 100% right.
There are downsides to real-time data. There's management things, fences you've got to put around that on understanding, how live is the data.
True.
It's only as live as your process. Yeah. How accurate it's only as accurate as your process is. So that's kind of one of those pros and cons. I see that as could be either way.
I think another thing in that same vein is the ability to take data and use it in the field. So think back to our beginning era, plans on the back of a truck.
Yeah.
Now, things like Procore have a very, very sophisticated ability to log in on a tablet, and you can actually look at, drawings. You can actually see them in real time. You can edit them. You can highlight them.
So it's interesting. So just to spin off that, contractors now, so there used to be, you'd have, you build a big plan table out in the field, just big old 2x4 in plywood. And maybe it had a shed, maybe. Then we went to putting those into job boxes. So you could close the doors and you could keep some other stuff in there. Now those are outfitted with power
Oh, yeah.
And there's a screen on the wall and it's mounted and you've got a keyboard or maybe a tablet.
Yeah.
And everybody's huddled up around that and they can, they're moving around the plans electronically.
Yeah.
So now you have to have Wi-Fi on your job site, probably. You definitely have to have power out there, or you have a little portable generator, a little Honda or something that thing.
Sure.
So there's all these kind of after effects that you got to think through.
The other thing,
but the access is so much better than it used to be.
and I think scheduling is another thing. Scheduling is one of those things that scheduling used to also be very manual on a piece of paper. Now scheduling can be updated in real time. You can push schedules out. I mean, the whole concept of pushing data from point A to point B across a project when you're not stuck in an office all day, because people are in the field. They're ops people and they're accounting people. They're different. And sharing information is one of the pros.
Well, the big win there for me is drawings. We were talking about drawings a second ago. Everybody's scared to death that no one's building off the right set of drawings, right? When you have whatever solution it happens to be, if you're pushing the most recent documents, there's no excuse. You don't have to go walking around looking at subcontractors.
Absolutely. I think one of the pros that we hear all the time is technology itself is faster, more accurate, better, easier to use. Those are the things that actually make technology in construction helpful. Now, what are some of the cons of construction software? Because there are a few that we know of.
I see it as, I don't know, con is quite the right word. It's challenges. I think of it more like challenges, right? It's not like it's ever, I don't know that's a bad thing necessarily. I just think the challenges they have, we see this all the time. It's a lack of understanding of the effort it's going to take to implement and really drive it into the business and have habitual processes is going to change the way your business runs. But fundamentally, it will change it.
I agree.
And underestimating that and really being intentional about where it's going to change it, probably sitting down and talking about like, maybe we shouldn't go, whole hog on this right now. Maybe we should do this in little bites.
Yep.
I think that's where a lot of mistakes are made. So that could be a con in the sense that people bite off more than they could chew. I just see it as a challenge more than anything else.
I like the word challenge for this too. The time it takes to train and learn a new software. Mm-hmm. That is something if you're not thinking about it, you have a team of people. We're busy in construction. Right. We're in the field. We have monthly closes if we're in accounting. We have deadlines in the field. We have schedules to meet. When do you train people to learn the software? Right. In theory, you bring them into a classroom and show them how it works once, and they're supposed to get it every time. That's a challenge. Yeah, and you have to manage and budget for that time.
The most common failure I see is this idea. It's kind of that easy button thought again. It's an executive will make a decision that they're going to implement this software. It's going to make everything better. And they hand it off to somebody, a project manager, maybe some sort of executive, somebody. And then that's it. Like there's no ongoing thought. There's no, it's like, well, this is supposed to fix it.
I've decided and now it's going to work.
Right. Or they asked for it. They got it. They've been telling me they want it. Go figure it out. Something like that.
And I think bringing this back to kind of the main, I call it the 800-pound gorilla, right? Or the elephant in the room, use whatever analogy you want, is Procore, because Procore is very set. It's built and made for construction. And all these things, all the pros and all the cons that we've just laid out are all inherent in Procore. You can't just learn to use it.
Yeah.
You have to take time and you have to, and there's an effort, but it solves problems for people. It really does solve problems for people. It shares information and it gives you data that you might not have had before.
Yeah, I think the key term there is investment. So you're making a financial investment.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you invest the time, the energy and resources to make sure that it takes?
And that you're the right size company for Procore. Right? We say this to people all the time. Procore was built for a certain size company. Let's just call it whatever you call it, but let's say a medium to large size general contractor is who Procore was built
in order to take advantage of all of its features. 100%, that's true.
And then you're a small subcontractor, or you're training in, it might not be the right thing for you. If you're not the right size company or you don't have the right infrastructure, Procore may absolutely be the wrong choice for you.
Right.
And that's fair. Mm-hmm. We like to help people, to know that.
Right.
But just because it's out there doesn't mean you have to have it.
So we're talking about construction technology in general, right? And maybe it's worth sort of categorizing that a little bit. We started to a minute ago. It's like there's tech, then there's software, but under the software banner, there's project management software, there's accounting software,
there's
maybe
CRM, sales.
there's CRM, sales, scheduling. Under the accounting software, there's the ERP, or there's just straight accounting, or time management and things like that. So there's a lot of
payroll, scheduling.
Excellent.
You're right.
There's a lot of little subtopics. So kind of the challenges, the pros, cons, challenges conversation. Let's spend a second talking about the ERP, the accounting software side of things. So we've been focusing a little bit on project management. So what are the pros, cons, challenges of an ERP implementation? Choosing the right ERP and then implementing it.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Sometimes we get focused on something, we think that construction technology is, project management platforms. But like you said, but an ERP, you can run your business off a full ERP for your accounting software, and now all those other things. I would think the biggest challenge to an ERP is implementation. There's no question about it gets a really bad rap, but for a very good reason.
Well, it's hard.
It's hard to do. It takes time and money and effort. And we're all busy in our daily lives doing our jobs. Mm-hmm. And then you come in behind and you hire this external company to help you implement, and you almost get a second full-time job for the 6 to 8 to 9 months it takes to implement a new software. That to me is one of the most important challenges and hardships of an ERP.
So we do a lot of these, and no two are alike, but I can say the most common trait is, I don't know that it's an underestimation, but it is you can't avoid that I have 2 jobs now thing. You can't avoid it.
It's a struggle, and that phrase, the struggle is real. This is not an over exaggeration. Right. If you're an accounting person and you're a controller, and you're the champion for your ERP implementation, along with your CFO, let's say, if you're given the ability to spend 40 hours a week just doing the ERP implementation, you are one of the very, very, very few outliers. Yeah. You have to work your full job, and then you have to focus on everything right. And because when you run your first monthly financials after you go live, they have to be accurate. Mm-hmm. You have to continue to run your business.
One of the biggest challenges I've seen for an ERP implementation, during the period where you're designing it, right? And you're deciding like, well, I want certain reporting. And so there's things you have to do in the back end to get that right? I think this is just a human trait, is the expectation that you want better than what you have. That's why you're getting a new ERP, right?
Fair.
But there's a tendency to try to make the new thing exactly the way the old thing was. Like you want to mimic the process, you want to mimic the report precisely.
You want it to work, and you want it to work. Like you want to press the same button. You want it to be called the same thing.
Accountants in general, project managers are this way too. This is one of the things about our industry. Whole other topic of why PMs and accountants kind of clash a little bit, even though they're very similar personality types.
Even though we both know that that's not necessary.
That's of course true.
We like each other a lot.
But the challenge is that they want that. They're exacting people. They want to understand exactly how it works, and they're learning how a new thing works. And so they don't really quite understand the logic of, say, Acumatica, for example, versus NetSuite versus Foundation.
And then just to, I think, put a point on this, the thing we haven't talked about is in the implementation process, there are, I think not all, but the majority of softwares that we know and use and our clients know and use, you have to use a third party.
Yes.
It's called a VAR, right? Value added reseller of software. And you bring in a new team. Mm-hmm. You kind of marry someone. You're dating.
Yeah.
I think we say dating, but you're married to them for
the dating
10 months.
The dating is the couple of months worth of demos.
And then you get married, and then
can feel like a shotgun marriage.
It sometimes it's a divorce, it doesn't. But yeah, it's very much of it's a different dynamic in running your business. You now have a third partner that's going to help you run your business, and you're very exacting, like you said.
This is, it just came to me just now. The way you said that, what you're doing is you're coming. One of the things that we believe happens when we're involved with our clients is that we spend a lot of time really understanding their business.
Yes.
The ERP or the software, whether it's be project management software, whatever, that is the product of a process of really understanding how do they think, what are they doing today, and what do they want in the future, and can they describe it? And we kind of build this bridge. And the software generally is the thing that's going to fill that, but we guide them through the idea of what's going to change. It's a change management process. And then you bring in this third party, and it puts an imbalance to the equation all of a sudden.
And what we try to do right here in Ascent is we try to be not only a bridge in that relationship, but we also try to bring down the learning curve of both sides.
Both sides, yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
You're working with somebody new, and you have someone new who doesn't know you as well as maybe we get to. So that's one of the benefits of what I think we get to do every day in our ERP work.
Yeah, it cuts down to definitions. Like, what is revenue? What is profit? Like, let's define those things. It sounds like an easy question, but you'd be surprised.
Absolutely.
Well, one might be. I know you're not.
Personalities.
Sure. Personalities.
Who gets along, who doesn't. Stress levels.
Yeah.
Expectations for succeeding and failing. Time. Yeah. I mean, there's a million inputs and outputs you have to think about when we're talking about software.
Yeah.
Whether on the PM side or whether on the accounting side. And they're all important.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to have a good, successful implementation and get the things you want out of that software, you kind of have to think about all this stuff.
Yeah, agreed. So I've got maybe a controversial opinion.
I'm ready.
Construction software specifically, isn't all it's cracked up to be. It is not the panacea that people believe it is.
So let's make this a debate.
Okay.
Point, counterpoint.
Okay.
I actually disagree.
Okay.
I think I know what you mean. I'm not going to speak for you.
Sure.
I think I know what you mean, but I will say technology in general, to me,
mm-hmm.
if I had to put a point on this conversation, I would say, to me, the point of construction technology is to make things easier, quicker, and more efficient. In light of nothing, I think that having technology and software is better for a construction company.
My take on this is, well, we mentioned this earlier, it's too easily considered an easy button. And that's why I think, maybe this makes me a bit of a dinosaur. I'm not disagreeing with you overall, but I would disagree with the in light of nothing.
How about in light of just Excel spreadsheets?
Okay.
How about that?
Okay. All right. We can agree on that.
Okay.
But my point is, it's way too easily overlooked that it is a panacea. I can introduce software into my business, whatever the incremental or larger use is, whether it's an ERP or if it's time tracking software. It is overlooked at how difficult that is, or not difficult. It's the work it takes to get that into your business and actually reap the benefits that you're talking about is overlooked a lot.
So I heard someone use this analogy one time, and it's fantastic. When you walk into a room and turn the light on, the light comes on every time.
Right. Because it's supposed to.
When you turn on construction software, it doesn't work the way you're supposed to. You have to do a lot more work than just flipping a switch.
Yeah, it requires maintenance.
And
you are the gerbil in the cage sometimes.
Time, effort, experience, and a lot of brain power. And so, yes. But once you do all that, I do believe that the software for construction is meant to make your life easier eventually.
Eventually, okay. We can totally agree on that.
Okay.
I agree on the eventually part.
Good. I like that. So thank you for joining us for our Hot Takes podcast. Today, we talked about what construction software and tech is like. It was a good conversation showing both sides of the pros and the cons and the challenges and what's good and bad about it. And I think that what I'm taking away from this podcast is that technology is meant to make your company better and more efficient. And I believe that it does that. I believe that it does just that. And when implemented well and properly and given enough time, you're going to get some good feedback and some good output from your construction technology. Thanks for listening today. And we hope you'll find us anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify and Apple Music, and on our website, ascentconsults.com. Thank you for joining us. Like and subscribe when you can, and we look forward to seeing you next time.